Let me get my slide.
Good morning, and welcome everyone to the Women's Coffee Club. We created this club to provide a safe space for women to share and inspire each other and learn from a different presenter each week. And our presenter this morning is Kim Rackham. And so excited, Kim, your topic. We're going to be talking about the resilience and courage of women to inspire others. So that is such a great topic. So, Kim, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to choose this topic.
Yeah, hi, Rennie. Thank you, ladies, for showing up and being here. That is so exciting. My background has been about health and nutrition for, gosh, about 30 years now. But my background was in management and leadership with state government. I worked for almost 33 years. And for so many years, I had like this desire to inspire others. And I did so through leadership and mentoring, and just really from the deepest being of my heart. And I realized that I had, although I am so very grateful for my retirement, the people I've met, all of the experiences along the way, at the same time, I felt like I robbed myself of those deeper inspirations and desires to develop something within myself and not to the needs of others, right? For their gain, right? And so I decided to become selfish in my ambitions in life, because our life is precious and we don't know what the next day will bring. And so through my nutritional coaching and my health and wellness franchise, I was able to retire about 6 years early. And in that, I was able to inspire myself to be the best version of myself and start. I took those dusty dreams off the shelf, so to speak. Can you relate? I see some heads nodding. And I decided that I wanted to go out there and really, really help others to inspire their vision and their dream. So I came up with my life coaching for women. Primarily, I work with women over 40, but what I have found is that I have so many that are in a younger age bracket. They are yearning for that same area of life. So my business is Nourish Coaching, and Nouri means to feed or fuel. And the she, the S, H, and E, mine is spelled a little bit different, is for self-love, health, and energy. So to empower your energy so that you are inspired to write your vision, your best chapters, right? Because our life is like our bestseller. So if we're able to inspire ourselves, then we can inspire others. And we have to start like putting our oxygen mask on who we are. And so many times, and what I love about this group is that I'm speaking to an audience that I truly believe gets it. They may already be in that transition of life, or they have figured out that that is where they need to be. So I thank you again for being here. Um, I have a small presentation, and I am going to have us in about 3 minutes because I have to sign in to my reservation. I am gonna have you pause. So while I'm talking and just giving you kind of the intro, then I would like for you to start thinking, maybe you are already inspired by your desire, right? I know a couple of you on here already have kind of a painted vision. So I would love for it to be interactive. And let's talk about that. I think that I always say the 3 C's of our connection, obviously connecting with one another, getting to know people, right? Know their story. That way we can honestly be authentic with who we are with them. So connection and community, of course. And we are in this fine community of women that meet so that we can collaborate. So connection, community, and collaboration. And in the collaboration, we can help one another to inspire and to come together to enforce each other's dreams, to become accountable, to become reliable, and to also become who our best version of ourselves that are, right? What that looks like. So I'm excited to share, but I'm even more excited and thankful to be hearing from each of you or who would like to share today. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to get started here. I'm going to open up my screen. Can everybody see my PowerPoint screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and I am going to run this screen. And like I said, I think, what I would like for you to do, if you have, because what I'd like for you to do is write down your desire. Write down a couple of things. Maybe it's your top three. Maybe you only have one very inspiring desire that you have in your life, right? Something that wakes you up, something that gets, when you hit your feet on the floor, that you're like, this is what gives me joy and thankfulness and gratitude for being here today. And what is it that I can do, not only for myself, but for others to do so? So I would like for you to take a moment and then we'll get started. Okay, let me know if you're ready. And what we will do is have a really brief discussion. Maybe a couple of you can share because we'll be sharing later on, as well. So who is ready to share? Who has a desire that they would love to share with the group real quick, and then we'll move forward.
I can share if you want.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Thank you, Sid.
Because I've been thinking about these things lately, so it was pretty easy for me to come up with kind of my top three, basically. Number one is I'm really trying to spend more time giving back to my community through a couple of nonprofits I'm involved in. That's very important to me. It does get me excited and gets me up in the morning. Number two, I've restructured my interior design business to try to bring in all income levels. I've kind of in the past had a little higher end and I want to bring it to everybody because there's lots of things everyone can do to make their homes better, healthier, more pleasant. So that's been a passion of mine over the past year. I've been working on kind of changing how I approach my business. And then number three for me is, and these are in no particular order, is just travel. And that includes spending time with family because I have family all over the country and even the world. So lots of travel for fun and to see family. Those are my three.
Oh, I love it. I'll have to talk to you about design. I'm in the process right now. Who else? Let me see. Tamara.
Okay, I was already unmuted. So I'm glad you did this because it kind of helped clear up some things for me. So I would love to bring women, I can't read my own writing. Okay. I would love to bring women out of fear, depression, and anxiety to show them that they are much more than what they've been told or taught during their entire lives. Being an adult of child abuse and being molested and told that I was no good my entire life, I've learned that I am much more than that. And I've learned that so much in this process. And I would love to make sure that women don't ever feel that again.
Yes, so good. And then Suzanne, real briefly, and we're going to get started. We're going to come back just so that you know, because I have another layer to this. We'll just keep layering this so that I'm hoping by the end of this chat that we are really going to ignite that passion that we have. Okay. So Suzanne, if you could.
All right, so mine is to help women learn that they are, even though they're autistic, to stop complaining because it's not a life paralysis, and to start taking the action steps because they do have gifts. Step into those gifts, stop treating it like it's a life paralysis, and I can help them go from one extreme to the other because I've done it. And so I know it's possible. And they just need to know that they're going to be empowered if they allow themselves to be empowered.
Yeah, that was so good. That's so great. Thank you for sharing, ladies. We will continue the conversation. So, yeah, we talk about inspiring our desire. I mean, honestly, for most women in my coaching practice, and Tamara, you really hit, I'll have to talk more with you later, but Tamara, you really hit an area of what I really feel is just kind of left or hidden under the rug for so many women. It's not, I mean, it's also for men, right? But primarily, I think because we are such nurturers as women, that it really hits the deep of the deep for us at some point in life. And it usually starts to happen like when we're over 40, right? I mean, things start changing. We start looking at our future a little bit different. Our kids start growing, or they're maybe you're an empty nester, right? So that is what I felt when I started my coaching business. But I had a greater experience for that. But then it really started making me think about all the years that were lost. And it's not there, all the years that were lost in that. Really, I always say it is a transition into transformation, right? So we're always going from transition to transformation if you believe that you can do that. And I truly believe that each and every one of us has such a strong desire within the very being of our hearts that when we open our heart to all of life, right? And I always say, ask from the universe. For me, it's God. Just ask Him to point you in the right direction. He will. And in that, you're going to spark that desire that is going to do incredible things for yourself, because it will unleash the very best of who you are so that you can be the very best for others, right? And that's not being perfect, because perfectionism is out the window, girls. Right? So let me go ahead and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So let's have some real talk. The power of desire, like what does that look like? I say when you're powered up, you're empowered, right? To be empowered, you have to have that internal power, and it has to start with belief, like believing in who you are, right? Like what is your purpose in life and what is your vision? Right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if you could just put in the chat, like, what is the number on your scale that tells you how close you are to knowing what your vision is in life? like that true inspiration. Like, what is your vision? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, what does that look like? For me personally, honestly, it's like about a 7.5. So I'm far from arriving, but I am to that point to where, okay, I know exactly what action to take. What is your next right action? So first, when we look at your inner desires, we want to identify your vision first, right? Like your why, like why are we here? Why are we doing this? Right? What gets me excited to do this? Okay. And then secondly, what actions you have to fill into that, right? And most of us on here already know that, right? So once you identify your vision, start filling into that as if you are already there. So my 7.5, my meditation, my affirmations, my believing in myself, I'm moving that needle from a 7.5 to a 10. Does that make sense? Because if I am feeling a 10.0, even though I'm at 7.5, if my energy and my vibrations, my meditation, my affirmations on a daily basis, and usually throughout the day, right? That's a consistent charge or energy of who you're being already, right? Not where you are at today, not the I want to's, but I have. What do you already have in this vision? So when you do that, you will, and then adding that next right action into it, just steps. It doesn't have to be huge. It has to be consistent in steps of action to get you there, right? Maybe it's one action a day, but that's moving that needle each and every time, right? So our goal today really is just to kind of reconnect with that. And Rennie talked about in the message, like the courage to do so. And to having that courage and the resilience to step out into your desire. Do you not believe that it is not so magnetic? Maybe at first not to your friends and family, but to others that are out there waiting for you to do so, right? You think about that, and that's joyful. I see the smiles on your face, and I know that there's like the creators in this group are so incredible. Like each and every one of you have this best-selling story, and your chapters are the desires of your heart, right? So that you could lead to change and being a change maker. I always say being a change agent, because as you know, we do live in a world of chaos and unknown, right? Things have drastically changed. Do you know that the mental health of our teens is so critical right now? Because they don't know what their vision is. There's so much scarcity. So us here in this incredible, incredible group of creators, we get to go and be change makers, right? One person at a time, just one person at a time. I used to think we had to take on the whole world. And I'll tell you, that's very exhausting. But if you can just help one person at a time, I always say 1 and 1, right? Doesn't make 2, it makes 11 and beyond, and it multiplies, right? So just yourself, you are so powerful. So let's get reconnected. So let's talk about why a desire. So desire drives motivation. That motivation gives us freedom. When I hear some of you talking about that, I heard the freedom in your voice. That choice, that like, what if? right? That I don't know about you, but do you ask yourself, what if? Not what if I fail, but what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Like, what if that was on the top? What was that? What if that was in the center of your heart every day? What if I couldn't fail? Then what would I do? Then what would the next action be? Think about that. We're going to do a visualization on that. So keep that in mind. And then desire helps you to achieve goals. In fact, it becomes so aligned. Desire becomes so aligned with your goals, right? That it becomes who you are. And then finally, and like it fosters personal growth. And I know that each and every one of us here are on a personal growth, journey, right? That is why we are here already. So we are in great company, right? We are in good community, but most people are not. So I want you to think about maybe that one person. Think about your desire. Think about one person right off the top of your head or in the center of your heart, even greater, that has no desire or has so little of a desire that maybe you could reach out to them. Maybe you could partner with them. Maybe you can teach them, right? Maybe you can help them to find theirs. So when we talk about the desire earlier, I talked about planting your feet on the ground first thing in the morning. And I always say, watch out, devil, here I come, right? You cannot alter what I believe I am, who I believe I am. I am more than enough, right? I am a conqueror. Yes, I've been created for greatness, beyond measured, right? Wrapped up in a beautiful gift with a red bow around it. So what am I going to go do today? So we each have our own unique desires. Earlier a few of you talked about your desires, right? These are your desires. I always say to not overcomplicate things, because I think when we get excited, we have like this big amount of like, we want to do this and our top 10 things. I always say, keep it to 3, right? If that is overwhelming for you, just start with 1. If you can get really great at 1 desire, the rest will follow, right? Everything else follows because you've built that muscle of confidence and courage and resilience in the process and in trusting the process. And your desires are valid and valuable. Now, will you share your desires with everyone? Maybe not. I know we have those people in our life. Can I get a witness? That they really don't believe enough in you. And honestly, when you look at it, it isn't really about you. They don't believe enough in themselves to understand that yet. So for us, when we have a desire, it is so valuable to us. But I think one of the toughest things is that when we introduce our desire to someone else, they're like, what's some of the things? Shout out, ladies, real quick. What are some of the things that you hear when you have given out your desire? When you have shared your desire, what do they say?
Where are you going to get the money to do that?
Right. What else? Like, you can never do that, right? Or
That's ridiculous.
exactly, right? So all the messages, right? And you got to realize that a lot of times the reason why we're stifled in our desires is because that love language, even though it wasn't lovely, right? But their love language, because that is all that they know, it infiltrates into the center of our being. And most of the time that happens when we're a little girl, right? That childlike action. So we may be 5, 6, 7, or 8, those younger years, right? And what happens is that it dominates who we are because words are so critical. And so it becomes more of a spiritual warfare, if that makes sense. And when we have that spiritual warfare, we have to go back to the basics. And so that's why I say moment to moment, sometimes we have to be in awareness and we have to understand that we have to believe in who we are. That 10.0 version of Rennie or Sue or Kathleen, right? We have to be in perspective, in awareness all the time, and be ready at any given time for that little injured girl that may have been told something differently. That's where the courage and resilience comes into place. That's when we rise above. That's where we ignite that spark, right? We fuel that flame. So what holds us back? And I guess I'm about a slide behind, ladies. So social pressures, fear of failure, and past experiences. So all of that, I really I did wrap our past experiences in. And, I have to talk about fear of failure. I just had a woman that prophetically spoke over me just a couple of days ago at a graduation. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in our discussion. But she identified it isn't fear of failure that I have an issue with. From the deep of the deep, that little girl speaking, right? It was like she said it was a generational fear of success. So honestly, I think about that for a moment. Do you believe that it is possibly a fear of failure for you or a fear of success? Because as I was putting this together, this was done before I had this conversation, and I'm like, I thought about changing it, and I thought, no, let's discuss that. Because this fear of success is actually even greater than fear of failure, honestly, in many cases. So what is that for you? Start thinking about that, like what identifies with you. And then societal pressures. And usually, society as a whole, we are so open to our feelings on social media, right? It really can affect you if you buy into that. But what about like what we talked about, your friends and family? You're my very best friend, right? We've been friends for 50 years, does not buy into what I do with health and nutrition. But she's a very sick lady all the time. And then I love her where she's at because I can't change the world and I can't change my friends and family. I can only be the best version of myself and move forward and attract those that are ready for that, correct? Okay, so overcoming fear is really embracing your vulnerability, being able to embrace. And, I love vulnerability. Wouldn't you say that the more vulnerable that we are within means, right? You can go too far with anything. But wouldn't you agree that the more vulnerable that you hear people like speakers, people that tell their stories, right? Those that have come before us, the greats, right? They always talk about their vulnerability, right? I always say perfectionism is out the window, right? Perfectionism does not define anything in your life because then you let go of vulnerability. You think that everything has to be so perfect that you can't make mistakes. And that is part of what I grew up around. I thought that if I couldn't tap into my desire as a little girl, then I had to be more perfect in order to do so. Right? And then what happens is when you look for perfection, you rule out vulnerability. And vulnerability is really what gives us the greatest message to share with the world. It's our mistakes. It's our past that we have brought forward into action. And it goes into the next topic, which is growth, right? That's that courage and resilience. It's going out of our comfort zone, being vulnerable, actually embracing the beautiful mess we are, right? So that we can grow outside of that comfort zone into the next chapter of our bestseller. Does that make sense? Can you relate to that? Because when I say that, it honestly almost tears me up. That's the disconnect in our world, that people believe that they have to be so perfect that they can't show any vulnerability. And that's where ego really embraces itself, if you think about it, right? I mean, when you have such a big ego, you think you have to be perfect. And I'm like, yeah, I want to be humble and vulnerable, but smart enough to know that I need to be outside of that comfort zone. Because change only occurs with that. Okay, so with that, I know that is probably really power packed for you in about 15, 20 minutes, but we're going to do a visualization. And if you can see it, you can be it, right? I love that word. I love that phrase. If you can see that vision, we've heard it so much, like some of the greats, like Bob Proctor, right? Abraham Hicks. I love John Maxwell. Like you might have your own great, right? Neville Goddard, right? All of the greats that have come before us. And they really, honestly, if you think of it, they paved the way more than likely as to why we are here in Noble Goldman. I know for me, I was introduced to Noble Goldman through Bob Proctor, through paradigm shift training. So I met a lovely lady that reached out to me. And I always say that was a gift from God, because she brought me over to this amazing community. And I have learned so much. I've learned so much in the last, in November, it'd be 5 years. And I learned so much and had so many incredible women and men that have been part of my life because of it, right? So what I would like for us to do, I was going to set up my timer and I did not. So I'm just going to put us on, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, so to speak. And what I'd like for you to do, my desire for you, is those things that you wrote down on your list. Even just take one, but if you want to take all three or take a couple of them, let's delve into that. What I'd like for you to do is to take a couple of minutes. I want you to visualize that desire, okay? And then we'll have a quick chat about that after this. How's that sound? And then we'll kind of move into conclusion of what we find. So I'm going to go ahead. If you go ahead, and I'm going to give you like 2 minutes, and just close your eyes. I want you to believe that you're on a balloon ride and you're in the clouds. You're in this balloon that oversees all of the abundance, all of the abundance. You are able to see below the ground. I mean, over and above, right? And below. You can see the beautiful waters that may be laying out there and all the fruit of the trees. And you can see the sky that is so open that it's never ending. You can hear maybe laughter from the others in your balloon, maybe the ahs, all the joy and the thankfulness that you have at that given moment. And now I want you to invite a desire into your heart. I want you to breathe in and take a breath in and breathe in that desire. And I want that to be closest to your heart, to the center of the heart. So when you're breathing, breathe into your heart And then when you breathe out, layer that desire around you. Lay it out there in abundance. And start thinking about not only where you are in this, that there was no fear of failure, that it was all success, and that you are in the now, that you have built into that desire. Visualize, what does that look like? What does that look like for you? Build your dream. Allow that balloon to just float, to just flow into the advancement of where you are. If you can see it, you can be it. Just sit there for a minute, and I would love to hear your feedback. Let's just take a moment to just really breathe in. When you breathe in that desire to the center of your heart. And when you breathe out, look at where you are. That it has already happened, that it is in motion. What do you see? Make sure that you keep breathing in. Every time that you breathe in, take a breath in. Breathe in the goodness of that desire. Breathe in joy. Breathe in gratitude. Breathe in fresh creation, fresh awakening. Breathe in excellence, honoring your very best version of that desire. When you breathe out that vision as reality. What does that look like? What colors does it look like? Who are you serving when you're inspiring? How are you feeling? How do you look? How do you portray yourself to others? Greater than anything, who are you being? Are you confident? Are you resilient? Are you empowered? Are you happy? Joyful? What about ecstatic? And even greater, how powerful and humble you have become in the process. Knowing that you have arrived for today at your greatest moment. Do you feel the abundance and prosperity that is in alignment with your desires? Do you feel the flow and the rhythm that you're in that becomes you on a daily basis? Now we're going to start breathing in. We're going to start coming back in on that balloon. Now I want you to keep those desires in the center of your heart, because we're just coming back into landing on that red balloon. You can feel the rhythm and the flow of that balloon coming back in to reach ground. Coming into formation so that when you when you come out of that balloon, that you're going to carry that same vision, that dream, that inspiration, the courage, the confidence, the resilience, the vulnerability. You're going to carry that from the clouds into your life, that awareness will stay with you, that you will remember it. It will become imprinted not only in your mind, but in your body and in your spirit. That it will influence you at times when there are challenges. That you will see it on a constant basis so that you become it. That becomes your best seller. Okay, so I'm going to bring us back into a simple discussion, and I would love to hear some feedback, because it is so powerful, and what we can share with one another really does matter in this space. Okay, so we're going to come back into, did that get you excited? Did you feel something in that? Let's go ahead. Oh, I told you I'm like a slide behind. Okay, so we're going to go into our discussion. So let's talk about it. So who would like to open up? I'd love to hear like how that felt for you. Was it something different for you? Because, you know, we always experience something new. So who would like to get started with us? Go ahead, Tamara. You're on mute.
Okay. So I just went on a balloon ride like last year, year before. So it was kind of cool. I started out with what I had seen before. And then when you said fruit trees, it reminded me of the resort that I so want. So it finally came all together because I didn't know how it was going to work, because I really want to help women, but I also love to help families be healthy. And as I'm going up on this balloon, I could see myself speaking to these women and bringing them to a point to where they can feel their power again. They can feel that they're loved by, you know, themselves and God more than anything in the world. And I guess it's kind of the same feeling that I had when I came out of all of that stuff, just knowing that you're loved. And when you said being on stage, I could see myself on stage. How do you feel? I feel confident. I feel powerful. I feel like I'm making an impact with these women. And then I could see my resort again. And that's when the families come in, because now we have healthy women. So we have healthy families, and they get to come and bond. So I'm going to cry. But that just like filled my heart up with so much joy. So
Yes.
okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm
Yes.
crying now.
No, that is so powerful, and I can feel that in you're just so heart-centered with that. And that is your story, Tamara. You have a story to tell. We are all broken people, right? We all are, right? But we have an amazing God. And I always
Absolutely.
say first things first, right? First things first, right? And whoever you celebrate as your God, okay? But for me, first things first, it's always about our inner being. If you think about it, the God within is our universe.
Mhm.
And if we're not tapping into that first, we're never going to feel the impact of prosperity and gratitude in life in general, like the very best of the best, right?
Right.
Because the God within has even greater for us than we ever would imagine. But what if we tap into that? What if we tap into that? So I am so thrilled that the red balloon really helped you to see that. So what I'm going to suggest is for you that every time a challenge comes, when that little childlike voice tells you that you're not enough, right? Or whatever those words could have been for you, that you go back to that experience. Just keep going back, keep going back. Write it down visually, write it every day. If you can write it, you'll see it. And if you can see it, you believe it. And you believe it, you are inspired to change it, right? To do something about it, to take the next right action. Anyone else? Suzanne, I see you have your hand up.
Oh, Tamara, our idea of working together comes back to me over and over again. Every time you say that, I'm like, oh man, we could be powerhouses together because we are powerful. And I mean, 5 years of Brave Thinking Institute, if that doesn't tell me that I'm a completely different person than I was in February 2018, nothing ever will. And I feel that power. I feel everything that's come from that. And it's kind of like the genie getting bigger and bigger. I don't know. Excuse me if I feel I feel 100% better than I ever felt before. And my fear is not so much that I can't do it. It's the fear that women will not trust, because the women I work with have been hurt so badly, have been scammed so much, have been feeling this life paralysis for so long that they're afraid to trust again. And so while I know I can do it, and I know you can do it, it's not so much us, it's helping these women not to fear the help that we can offer them.
Mhm.
Because they have to do half the motion. We can teach all we want, but if there is no one there to trust that we can teach them, they're going to stay stuck.
That's where you come in, Suzanne, because when you become unstoppable, right, all of those things, right, then you are going to attract the women that do want to change. You are. And even so, some will, some won't, right?
Right.
I mean, seriously, some will, some won't. And I say, so what? Because we can't change the world. See, when you're talking, I hear you talking about a changing the world, right? Like we grab into it, like we're going to change the whole world, and we can't.
No, we can't.
But whoever you are being on this journey, Suzanne, as long as you're tapping into your greatest being, not being perfect, but being the best version of you, you are going to automatically magnetize those women that truly are going to want to change as well, right? So that's all that matters, my friend. We get caught up in trying to change everything and everyone, right? Because we see it, like we have this desire that we want to help, right? And then you realize, I can't do it. But if I change one, that changes their family, that changes their community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like I said earlier, 1 + 1 is not 2, it's 11, and it expands. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. I do have
And
a private group that is growing. So
yeah,
it's exciting to see. They just have to
yeah,
invest in now, and they received the help, they received the know, like, trust that we're building. Now they just have to
absolutely.
say, okay, I'm ready.
Well, I mean, think about this for a minute. Tony Robbins, we're all lovers of Tony Robbins, right? I mean, he started with one, right? So did Jesus. He started with one believer, then it became 12 disciples, right?
Yes,
Right?
true. Very true.
I mean, think about it. We all start with one. We all start with one. And number one is us. We have to put our oxygen mask on first. And then once we do that, we get to multiply. How fun is that? We're multipliers. Kathleen, my dear lovely friend Kathleen, I want to hear from you.
That was great, Kim. And I loved the visualization meditation. I was just, I had a small barbecue last night, and I was telling a couple of the girls about Hal Elrod's book, The Miracle Morning. And visualization is one of the practices. There's 6 morning practices in the Miracle Morning. Step 1 is silence. Step 2 is affirmations. Step 3 is visualization. 4 exercise. 5 reading, and 6 scribing, writing, journaling. And these are all so important in achieving your goals and being productive and becoming who you want to be, your greater self.
Yes.
And visualization, like you said, has to be felt. You have to not only see it, but you have to feel the emotion that goes along with it. So you have to see, like you described, it already has happened. And you feel that energy because we are energetic beings. And so if we put out these energetic waves, the universe has no option other than to go along with our plan.
Oh, yeah. You know, we're so powerful. I love what you said. And every bit of that, I love Miracle Morning. And every one of those stages is what gets us to being.
Right.
It really does. And, you know, the thing is most of the world, like 97% of the world, don't see any of that. So we have a job to do, right? And just having that conversation, Kathleen, with your friends, that's empowerment.
Yeah.
You are magnetizing that because they may not like what they hear. Some of them are like, oh, that's woo-woo stuff, right? I'm like, no, everything's energy. We were born with energetic frequencies. That's what we're made of, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Bob Proctor talks about that all the time. All the greats talk about that. So if we exude, and Kathleen, you've been to a couple of my workshops, you know, I talk about frequencies and energy.
Yeah.
Like that to me is such an amazing modality in itself, right? I mean, if we're walking in the fruit of the spirit, and that is peace and kindness, right? Love, right? Gentleness, right? If we're walking in the fruit of the spirit at the highest, we're going to attract that into our lives. So whatever you are being is what you attract, right?
Yep.
So you have to decide what not. I love Joe Dispenza. I'm a huge Joe Dispenza fan. I meditate with him almost every morning. And I'm like, he says, what are you no longer willing to be? Meditate on that and then meditate into what you want to be. And allow the universe, you can surrender what you no longer want to be, and then the universe can give you exactly how you become. Because energy attracts energy, whether it's a low energy frequency or a high energy frequency. If you can do nothing more than wrap your head around that and just decide, and you have to make a decision. When you made a decision, when you've said yes, and the word that I even like greater than decision, because decide means to cut off. Okay. So rather than saying decision, say I choose. Because when you choose, that gives you full responsibility, but it gives you full authority to walk in your power. Yes,
Right.
right?
And tapping is the same premise
Yes.
as what you're talking about with Joe Dispenza. You
Yes.
you bring up the negative feeling that you're having, and you bring it out and let it go with the positive affirmation. Even though I'm feeling fear or, whatever, as you're tapping on these points, I know that blah, 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 so you end it with a positive. You're acknowledging the negative, letting it go, and replacing it with a positive.
Yeah. So good. So good. How many of you do tapping the EFT? Because we can always do a class on that.
I did do a class on it.
You did one on this group?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. I'd love for you to do it again. I love EFT. I love it. Yeah. I
I'm doing
absolutely love
Arvita, the next one.
it. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so let's roll out. I know we're getting close to the hour. I have not heard from Rennie. So I'd love to hear from you, but
Yeah, I was just saying that this has been an amazing conversation, Kim. I know we're getting close to 8 o'clock, and you'll just have to come back the first of the year and kind of continue with this conversation, because normally I always like to ask each participant give them the opportunity to say something, but I know we're running out of time, so I'm gonna let you finish. But if there's anyone there who really want to say something, Sue, are you wanting to say something? I see you changing your camera mode.
well, just one moment. I'll be done here in just a second. I just have two little slides and then we can do kind of a round robin real quick. How's that? Do we have enough
Sounds good.
for that?
Go ahead.
So basically, some of the daily practices to keep it alive is what we just talked about. Journaling, powerful. Journaling is so powerful. Mindfulness and meditation, and then positive affirmations, right? Coming, and then connection. So connecting with others. We talked about those 3 C's that I love. It's like, right? Connection, community, collaboration. This is really what it's about. It's surrounding yourself with those inspirational figures. We're already here. We are joined in with a women-centric community already. Sharing your desires, we kind of did that, right? So I'd love to hear your progress. Like, would it be okay if I reach out on occasion to each and every one of you and just say, hey, how's it going, right? Attending workshops and then reading those empowering books. And I think all of us are really on board with all of this already. And then in conclusion, just knowing the power behind the motivator of desire, and then just keeping that flame alive, like making sure that every day you strike that match, you wake up with the intention of going out there for yourself to bring about that desire into the world, one person at a time. So with that, questions, but what we can stop here, and if we have any comments, like Rennie said, it would about 2 minutes over. If you want to stay for just a moment.
Yeah, I guess, thank you, Kim, so much. This is just an amazing conversation. What I was going to say is that we don't have time to go to each person here. I think there are quite a few. Can you stop the share, Kim, so we
Yeah.
could just be
Yes,
conversing?
absolutely. There we go.
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess quite a few already said something.
Mhm.
But I was gonna, Sue, I think you wanted to say something. I was gonna give you a chance. No?
No, I mean, I already talked about my goals. I just want to thank you, Kim, because it's just your message is so important. And I wish every person, not just every woman, every person could have been on this call this morning, just to help reset, realign their thoughts. You've just done a beautiful job of kind of bringing it together in a very short time. Beautiful reminder to all, and you're just a great inspiration. So thank you so much for your time and your expertise.
Thank you so much, Sue. I will be connecting with you. I need some interior design done.
Well, Sue will be sharing with us on her interior design expertise. I think it's in September 14th, Sue, is it? So come in, and she has two volunteers who volunteer their room to be designed by Sue. So anyway, we're running out of time here. Thank you again, Kim, but I'll invite you back for the first of the year to kind of continue with this conversation. It's so inspiring. I think, like Sue said, you're making it so simple. I think a lot of us in personal development journey, we kind of already know all of that, but the way you kind of play it out, put it in a very thoughtful manner, I think help kind of reframe everything that we've already learned and know. So that is amazing. Is there any last minute somebody else that didn't get a chance to say something, to want to say something to Kim before we close here? Okay, if not, Kim, I'm going to give it back to you to close this out because we are running out of time.
Okay, thank you so much, ladies. I am truly honored, and I am inspired by each and every one of you because I see your faces on the screen and I know enough about all of you. I think that might be Valerie on someone I know. It is, yeah. Would love to soon. Oh, absolutely. I would love to do that. I work with kids and families with autism and special needs, right? So I'd love to do that. Yeah. So I just absolutely love each and every one of you. Whether we know each other a little or a lot, some of you I've known for a long time. So I just hope that that inspires you not only today and throughout the day, but as a lifetime achievement, because you're so worth it. You're more than enough. I wanted to say I just graduated from a program. I'm in a mentoring program, and I don't know, some of you may know, but my cause and my desire is to help restore women in women and children in human trafficking. I've been doing that for about 18 years. And so it is truly my desire to build what we call hope homes. And that is to help women and children to be restored out of sex trafficking. And so when I wake up in the morning, that is truly my desire, is to help people with their health and create cohesive, healthy families and healthy women that have been brought out of such destruction in their life, so that they know that they are more than enough. So I inspire each and every one of you to do the same, and I look forward to hearing from you. So have an amazing week. I'll be thinking of each of you and planting great energies into your hearts.
Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you everyone for your participation and contribution to this group. And we'll see you next week. Have a great day. Bye, all.
Bye.
Thanks.
Everybody.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Great conversation. Presentation.